it. We're getting going here on a midway point in the week. Good morning on this Wednesday. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, worldwide, locally and regionally, nationally, play the Pulse of NH. A poll question up on X at the Pulse of NH this morning, and it's a good one. We'll have results for you from yesterday in a moment, J-Dog. And it has to do with the SNAP, the food benefits, food assistance. Do you think after Saturday, November 1st, the SNAP, the food benefits will continue to be paid, yes or no? You know, two things on this government shutdown, day 29. Good morning, Jack Heath, J-Dog on the boards. Good morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of NH on this Wednesday. Two things on this I'm going to say out of the gate. One, I think members of Congress should be brought back and made to sit in session at the Capitol 24/7 until they figure out a way to end the government shutdown. They're getting paid. The workers at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard are not. TSA agents are not. FAA, they're military. Federal workers not getting paid. Members of Congress are. Make him sit there and earn the bucks. Number two, it's interesting how the media portrays this food benefit story. It's not funny at all, people that need the assistance. Single parent, young families. I mean, look at all the food pantries that we here at Vinny Media and the Pulse of NH support each year with our caring and sharing. Like 26 food pantries, including Gather on the Seacoast. So many of them. Liberty House in Manchester for veterans. They do, I don't know, close to a couple hundred meals a day. Not funny when you need that food assistance. That's not my point. But the media portrays it as, oh, the administration won't fund SNAP after Saturday. The government is shut down. Why don't you do the story? The Democrats yesterday, again, including our own senators from New Hampshire, voted no to reopen the government, which would fund SNAP and the food assistance as of Saturday if they reopen the government by tonight at midnight. Make members come back, make them work for it and settle it. Meanwhile, President Trump tonight, it's nighttime over there, South Korea tomorrow, all eyes on the U.S. and China as they get together to negotiate potentially a trade deal that markets are already reacting to. Hurricane Melissa absolutely pounding and devastating parts of Jamaica as expected. We don't even know the full scope yet in terms of injuries, people displaced, homes destroyed, and loss of life. Now moving on already to Cuba and then the Bahamas. The last thing parts of the Bahamas need is another hurricane. And the Federal Reserve poised to cut interest rates another 0.25% as early as today. Our own Doug Tengden, J-Dog, will be going early here. World Market Advisors in just a moment. We'll get him to call in now, actually. He's been very patient. Doug's a very polite. He's listening, so I'm going to say, Doug, you can call in now. How's that? I want to hear Doug's take on that. Also, Amazon. Look at these high-tech jobs. What about, do you hear about UPS? How many people? Up to 40,000 people, UPS, the brown trucks, they're laying off. Amazon, 14,000. And again, AI, I heard a news report the other day. Sometimes the national media, I don't know where they have their head stuck in a vacuum. Oh, these cuts go back to the COVID era. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with artificial intelligence, AI, displacing workers. Amazon healthcare benefits and salary. What concerns me, and they're a private, not a private, but they're a publicly traded, internet giant. Amazon, like number one, huge employer. The problem is if you lose a 6-figure job at Amazon, where do you go to replace that? That's what always concerns me in the economy. And the Federal Reserve is looking at the employment, the jobs picture, and they're looking at lowering this rate another 0.25%. Good timing with Doug Tengden bringing in Doug live, worldmarketadvisors.com for a cameo on this Wednesday. Another rate cut. We'll start with that, Doug. Well, again, this is bank to bank how it starts, but how does this translate into someone looking to borrow money to buy a home, for example? This will inch even those long-term consumer rates down a little bit, right? What is a, I don't even know, what is a 30-year, 30-year mortgage right now? I'm just curious. 30-year. What do you think it go to down to? Wow. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm a little bit surprised that that I didn't think we'd get below 5 for the foreseeable future. Certainly, I've told younger folks or anyone who has a 2.93% fixed mortgage, don't give that thing up. I know it's kind of golden handcuffs, but you'll never see that again. Doug, let me. Oh, please. You think you think it's going to go down? Well, you think Janet Yellen's going to get a comeback? Come on. Hey, Doug. Yeah, yeah. Hey, real quickly, Doug. I on a separate note, because the Fed is looking at employment and jobs. I'm a little bit well, I guess I'm not that concerned because I don't work for Amazon and no one in my immediate circle does. But you look at the number of layoffs, 14,000, and some of these are mid level. They're not at the warehouse. They're not the folks driving the trucks. These are some mid level executives. You lose let's just throw this out there. I looked up the average salary. You lose upwards of a $200,000 a year job with Amazon. Where are you going to go to even make half that? Yeah. What What about UPS? Why are they laying off so many? Wow, that's a big number. 38,000. Yeah, yeah. But you look at all the other high tech. That's, I mean, AI is it's not going away. But what it's doing to some of these employees, I mean, 38,000 employees for UPS. That's a big number. Yeah, unbelievable. All right, Doug. Thank you. Wow, he's pretty bullish on interest rates coming down. Hopefully, you got an adjustable mortgage if you got a new one lately when it was closer to 7%. Hey, coming up, before we get a check in on John Decker, on White House correspondent. Also, we're going to hear from Bob Jackman, one of our great building sponsors out there, Laval Middleton Building Supply, on heating your home, supplemental heating sources, getting a little bit chillier in the morning. But coming up, we talk about affordable housing solutions brought to you by Ledyard Bank and others. We're going to have some thoughts on that in the 10 o'clock hour. But coming up, childcare cost. Childcare cost. I talk with more and more younger families and couples. Sometimes one of the folks has to almost work full time just to pay for that childcare. What are some solutions? We know it's expensive. What are some solutions? There's a business event going on, public policy event, I think, over at St. Anselm. We're going to hear from an expert in that coming up. And then around the corner, I get an update as well, not only on some home discussion on heating, but also Manchester VA. Get an update for our veterans. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Jack Heath, J-Dog on the boards. We are back in a few. All right, we are back. Hey, thanks for making us your top choice in the region for News Talk live on our network of AM and FM stations, now adding another FM signal up into Maine. Good morning. New England, and good morning worldwide. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google, play the Pulse of an H. Also, our streaming 24/7 stuff, our app, the Pulse of an H. Download that. Our poll question up on X this morning. JDog will have results from yesterday. Do you think the SNAP food assistant benefits will continue to be paid after Saturday? About 75,000 in New Hampshire depend on that to an extent, and also maybe almost not quite, but almost twice as much in the state of Maine. Yes or no? My feeling is bring Congress back. They're getting paid, make them sit there 24/7 until they resolve this thing on the government shutdown, but that's just me. J-Dog, results from yesterday. Now, the Portsmouth Big Halloween Parade is still Friday night, I think, but they are, some places are moving trick or treat to what? Is it tonight? Because of the rain. I guess that's rain. All right. Hey, we're going to switch gears. I want to bring in Alex Lundry. He's an expert on public policy polls and polling and in issues. And there's a forum happening focusing on solutions at St. Anselm College, one of our great partners out there, Neil Vec and Institute of Politics. Alex joining us, but on a lot of things. Let's start with childcare because we're talking about some of the other costs, but childcare is something that really is expensive, has been for a while, and we're going to look at how this rates as an issue. Alex, thanks for joining us. Good morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of an H, and maybe some solutions. Good morning. Well, thank you. Talk about the forum in a moment, but you've done some poll findings on registered New Hampshire voters on early childhood education. It's very critical, extremely critical for a lot of families. Alex, I hear some families in close to my circles, one person has pretty much work full time and about 80% of their salaries go into childcare. So tell us what your polling shows. Yeah. I don't want to go back in New England a century, but we had extended families. My late mother grew up in Maine, and I remember, when a grandparent would live with the primary family and the young kids and help out there. I'm hearing from more families it's getting so expensive on early childhood education and care that you're seeing aging baby boomers totally adjust their lives to helping out that family 1 or 2 days a week full time just to help the family get through. Is that something that's showing up in the surveys? Yeah. What are you finding one or two solutions in the surveys? You mentioned public support, but what are you finding before I maybe move to another topic? Hmm. Alex, before I let you go, you can do it now or at the end. I want to just give your credit where you're from and your group that does the poll findings and so forth. If you want to just share, you're coming in for this event. I think it's today at St. Anselm College, correct? Oh, tomorrow. Okay. Is that open to the public? Okay. Okay. And real quickly, what about any other topics that did you do any polling on or survey results on any other subjects, whether it's the government shutdown, um, you know, you know, uh, Democrat, Republican, what the economy, any other subjects? Right. Yeah. Interesting. And of course, affordable housing, another big issue for families of all age. Alex Landry, thank you so much. Good luck tomorrow, St. Anselm, the event on early childhood education and care. Thank you. All right. We come back. John Decker, our own White House correspondent. Uh, President Trump on his trip. We're looking at tomorrow more the focus on China. Watch the markets. They're looking for some trade agreements and deals. They've already, I think we started the week, the market, Dow Jones Industrial was up, shot up about 300 points on word that they had already behind back channel worked out a framework for trade agreement with China. But there'll be other stuff on the docket. Also, Bob Jackman, Laval Minuteman Building Supply. It's getting a little chilly out there in the mornings and nights. What about supplement heating for your home? And an update from the Manchester VA, all coming up this hour. We're also, if you want to watch us live, you can do that now on YouTube, 9 to 10, the first hour. We're live on YouTube, video eyes at the Pulse of an Age. Back in a moment.
Pride Studios. Now back to Jack Heath on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
All right, welcome back on this Wednesday morning. We are live, local, regional, national. Hey Alexa, hey Google, play the Pulse of NH 107.7 FM, Manchester, Concord 107.3 FM, Lakes region, plus 1490 AM. Plus, we have additional signal strength in the Lakes region, 98.3 FM, HD2 if you like that digital clarity, 98.1 FM. And on the Seacoast side of things, 1270 AM, WTSN. And of course, we have an additional 98.7 FM HD2 as well up into Maine. I'll leave Maine alone for a moment. I still don't get the political dramatic change in the state of Maine south of Augusta. Wow. We'll come back to that. How about that? John Decker, our own White House correspondent, coming up, talking about the president's trip. Nighttime there, South Korea, big stuff in the last 24 hours. Tomorrow, all eyes will be on meetings between the president and President Xi of China and the behind-the-scenes back channel to get trade agreements and a bunch more with China. Watch the markets tomorrow on Thursday. And then Bob Jackman, LaValle Middleton Building Supply, will be joining us on some heating solutions. I noticed this morning coming in early, some of the rooftops, whether depending on what kind of heating, you actually saw some frost up on the roof, some wood stoves going as things get a little cooler at night. In the morning, we're in that time of year. Can't believe Saturday, November 1st, trick or treat, and well, the next couple days, not looking bad, by the way. Tomorrow, a little bit of rain in the forecast, maybe rain tomorrow and later in the week, but going into the weekend, looking pretty okay. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, by the Pulse of NH, and we bring in November 1st on Saturday. Keep an eye. And, you know, I guess I'm waiting for John Decker. Is that right, J-Dog? And Bob Jackman. Are we, J-Dog? Are we waiting for, okay, yeah, John Decker. Is Bob on? You want to go to, you want to wait for John? It's up to you. Okay. You know, this government shutdown, I'm just going to say this. I'll come back to this in some commentary in the 10 o'clock hour. Just bring Congress back. Make them sit there. House and Senate, make them sit there 24/7. They're getting paid. Make them sweat this out and earn this, and just keep doing votes every hour. Show who's voting against what. Just bring them back till they solve this. Make them sit there. Seriously. They want to be home. They don't want to be down in Washington. If you're a member of Congress, you want to be up here in New Hampshire for the Halloween parade. You know what I mean? In Portsmouth, you want to be up here at home. No, make them sit down there in Washington until this thing is solved. I mean, you got TSA workers, FAA workers going to work without being paid. Portsmouth Naval Shipyard workers going to work without being paid. Make the members of Congress sit there. I don't know why they're not forcing them to be there until this breaks. They make them sit there right through the weekend. Don't even give them a break. Go marathon sessions to solve this. I don't know why they're not. And then Democrats, we keep voting against reopening the government. I do crack up how the national and local media portray this. They don't say, hey, Democrats voted against yesterday again reopening the government. That would fund SNAP benefits. That would pay federal workers. Seriously. We keep voting against it because they're making this about the one big beautiful bill in healthcare, which has and even funding public broadcasting. What does that got? What do the HE double hockey sticks restoring funding for public broadcasting have to do with shutting down the government? Nothing. Anyway. It's all in the eyes of the news beholder. Hey, John Decker, a White House correspondent. What a trip this is, and all eyes tomorrow with negotiations with China as a big day in South Korea, including a golden crown. Take it away, John.
Yeah, that's right. The president on the third leg of this three-leg trip to Asia and South Korea, and it will culminate tomorrow tonight, South Korean time, with his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. It's supposed to be a 3-hour-long meeting, so it sounds like there's a lot that they will discuss. Obviously, trade and economic issues, but also security issues as well. President Trump telling me last week that he intended to talk about the war in Ukraine with President Xi. After all, President Xi and President Putin have a very strong relationship, and the President Trump, believes that Xi can push Putin to the negotiating table to end this war after nearly 4 years.
John, I know you stay away from the political partisanship. White House correspondent, been recognized for how long you've been doing this so well recently. I'm just going to ask this straight up because you're somewhat of a presidential historian. Real quick, as we bring in Bob Jackman, I'm going back 5, 6 presidents. I don't remember an administration or president, and this even goes to the folks that don't even care for President Trump, I don't remember a president who's ever done so much wheeling and dealing to try and get trade or business deals with other countries to buy stuff here, whether it's our trucks, whether it's our minerals, whether it's our energy. I don't remember a time where a president has wrapped up so many deals, whether it comes to fruition 100%, a country pledging to buy from us and do things more with us. I don't remember a president that's ever done so much business dealing as sitting president. Do you?
No, I don't. Just to answer your question very succinctly, and I think the reason for that has a lot to do with the fact the president understands and is wielding the power of the presidency in even different ways than he wielded that power in his first term.
Yeah.
Only one trade deal was reached in the president's first term in office.
Yeah.
That was in South Korea. Think about it. Just over the weekend, 40 separate trade deals
Yeah.
reached with 4 Asian countries. So to your point, that's good news for America, good news potentially for our economy as well.
I didn't see that as a lead story on ABC. Thank you, John Decker. All right, Bob Jackman, sorry. Thank you for your patience. I want to talk about heating your home and LaValle Middleton Building Supply locations across our region. Mr. Bob Jackman, the communicator, the educator, the heater. Take it away, Bob.
Well, everything we've heard for the last 45 minutes or so has been something that basically none of us have no control over except for the ballot box. And that's about all I'll say about that. When you talk about heating your home, Tuesday I heard the first half of the season. Turn your heat down by as much as 10 degrees so that you don't have any more fuel than you need for this winter. And I want to caution people, do not listen to that. What you need to do is find a way to make your home more comfortable because you live there and your family lives there. Make it more comfortable and save money at the same time. And you do have control over this.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of people that crank it down, especially when they're not there and the house gets freezing and then they got to wait a half hour to get it warm again. I think if you just keep it at a comfortable temperature, you're going to avoid a lot of things. The home will be warmer. If you lose power, it's going to take longer for pipes to freeze. I'm a big fan of, kind of a even keel. I agree with you.
And some heating systems respond extremely well to that, and some do not. Those of us that heat with wood or that have places that are rebuilding with wood, we don't really want to hear air smoke because wood smoke can overcome so much.
Yeah.
But in a regular home where you and I live, air flow is your enemy.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe that, why don't you turn the fan on to make yourself feel cooler?
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is you got to look for, insulation, windows. We'll come back to, but Bob, I want to go back to heating. I think most people in primary homes have more than one heating source. In other words, they may have a supplemental. They might have some natural gas. They might have oil, and forced hot air. They may have, again, not oil. They might have natural gas. They might have some solar on the roof. It's sort of a combination now. I've noticed with heating and cooling. Mini splits aren't cheap, but they're effective, especially on cooling. But let's go to some of the supplemental stuff. Are you a big fan of Valley Middleton Building Supply? And are there safe, good supplemental, I don't want to say electric stove type, electric heater types where someone could plug into a cold area of a home, something that's not a fire hazard? Because we do have to worry about safety and fire hazards as we do more heat options for our homes, right?
Well, you're absolutely right. You got to be safe in everything that you do. If you start talking about supplemental heating, I turn my attention to carpet heating. For instance, I'm sitting in a home office, and behind me is a little space heater that is very creative. I only turn it on when I'm cold, and I'm also sitting in front of three big casement windows with the sun beating down on the back of my head. I feel like the back of my head is at the beach. And I gotta tell you,
Right. Yep.
That small heater behind me, that's for supplemental heating source. That's very targeted. We talk to people about trying to stop the airflow in your house. Where is there a draft?
Right.
People in older homes, this is easy peasy.
You know,
No benefits. Smoke a cigarette, walk around, watch where the smoke goes. Now we know what's going on.
a couple of years ago, I went to someone's house, an older person. They were asking me, they go, geez, my bedroom's freezing. And I noticed there was a small air conditioning unit they kept in the winter year round with those little plastic vents on the side. I go, come over here and put your hand right here. And it felt like an ice cube. I go, this has to come out. I'm going to take it out and shut your window. I mean, some people I see they keep the air conditioning units in their windows year round.
Yeah, and that's almost as bad as the attic access panel.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a pull down stairway,
Yep.
and that gets a little more tricky to insulate properly, but it's still easy to do.
Yeah.
You just do the insulation blanket on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Overlap.
Yep.
Like a big hat.
Yep.
If you pull that stairway up, the insulation moves down over the side.
Yep.
A
Now,
lot of people would tilt the hole in the ceiling, like again, right in my home office here.
yeah.
There is about a 38 square hole in the ceiling, and when we moved in here, there was no insulation
No.
in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's like having that little open,
Oh,
no air conditioner in there.
yeah, when it's 8 below. Hey, real quick, can you go into La Valley Middleton Building Supply, one of your locations, just talk to one of your team members about some supplemental heating options and just talk to them?
That is absolutely the right thing to do. Bring some pictures and tell us about who you're dealing with and
Good stuff.
and another question. There may be steps.
Yep.
$75 here, $20 there, that kind of thing. Help us avoid the tank of gas flushing.
Yep.
And you're going to save 3 times or 4 times that over a huge.
And be more comfortable. All right, Bob. Bob, I appreciate it. Bob Jackson, La Valley Middleton Building Supply. Maybe next time we'll talk about some windows and other draft areas. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Come back with our friends from the Manchester VA as we go into the Halloween period. Talk about some health care for our veterans next.
7.7
All right, coming up in a little bit, Tiffany Eddy, her latest podcast, now part of the Pulse of an Age podcast network. And a little bit later on, we'll hear from one of the candidates running for Congress in New Hampshire. But first, a check-in and update from our friends at the VA and Kevin Forrest, the director of the VA here at home, joining us with Aaron, one of their associates, talking about some healthcare. And I'm hearing from, I'm just trying to think what it was in the last week or so. Oh, Tom Raffio, president and CEO of Northeast Delta Dental, was talking about hearing from more women who are getting out of service in the military is the fastest growing demographic. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Jack. How are you this morning?
Doing okay. How are things at the VA?
It is busy. So, hey, I heard over the break there, talking about government shutdowns. I think it's important to let all veterans know that, the Manchester VA is open for business. So, don't let the news of the government shutdown get in the way of contacting us for services.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So you're seeing really no interruptions, Kevin?
No, everything from the VA is within appropriations. So, we feel very fortunate.
That's
Lots of veterans to take care of, as you well.
a very important message. Take away the subject. You got a great guest or one of your associates. Go ahead. I'll let you quarterback it.
All right, thanks, Jack. So, to a lot of veteran listeners out there, we have Aaron Seavey, who was our breast health coordinator here, and October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And Jack, as you mentioned, I guess as quoted by Tom Raffio, yes, our women veterans are our fastest growing population that we take care of here, and that's why we have a new clinic coming up in the next year. But I want to turn it over to Aaron to let our veterans know what we can do for them here as far as breast cancer screening and a little bit of statistics. So, Aaron, take it away.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to thank you all for having me to talk about this important topic. Breast cancer certainly touches so many of our lives in many different ways. I want to share some statistics with you. First, we know that 1 in 8 women in the United States and 1 in 726 men in the United States will develop breast cancer in their lifetime. In addition to this, we also know that 40% of our military women are more likely to develop breast cancer than civilians. So what can we do here at Manchester VA to help our veterans? And the answer is we offer breast health services and resources to our veterans. This includes screening mammography, which is known to be the gold standard for identifying breast cancers early on and getting, able to treat them when they are curable. And then beyond this, we offer things all the way through breast care services for breast cancer. So I would encourage you, beyond getting your screening mammogram, to also be aware of your breast health tissue, your own tissue. The reason I say this is because if you have a change in condition, you need to know when to report it to your provider. So symptoms that I would encourage you to report would be a new breast lump, redness or swelling, if you have irritation or dimpling of the breast skin, nipple discharge, on of the nipple, or breast pain. These are all important reasons to notify your healthcare team for guidance. And I guess in summation, I would say that if you're 40 years old, 40 years of age or older, and you have not had a screening mammogram, or if you're any age with a family history of ovarian cancer or a genetic predisposition to gene, I would encourage you to reach out to your healthcare team at VA and start your breast health conversation, because we're here to help you and we want to help you. So you can reach us at 603-624-4366, and the extension to dial would be 20-3199, which gets you to our call center and they can direct you to the appropriate team.
Do you mind, Aaron, one more time saying that number slowly with the extension? Because sometimes we say these numbers and people are driving and they're doing something, they want to hear it again. I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So the phone number is 603-624-4366, and the extension is 20-3199.
All right, good stuff. Kevin, if we could just talk off of Aaron's call to action to women out there to take advantage of these services. Let's talk a little more just on the demographics you're seeing, age. Are you seeing, you mentioned more women who serve now coming in for services. You and I always wrestle with this. Veterans are not real good at asking for support or help, and yet it's us. We need to serve them after they've served us. So I'm all for the expanded services you're doing. But just talk a little bit about, the veteran you're seeing. Are you seeing younger veterans? Are you seeing veterans who are, getting out, more women. Just talk about some of the veterans, some of the areas where you're seeing growth.
So certainly, when we speak about the female veterans being our fastest growing population, we just had our annual survey that we have to submit to Big VA. We have over 3,000 female veterans that we're caring for now, and that continues to grow. But Jack, I think with all the outreach and everything that we've done, we've been very fortunate. I mean, we certainly have our younger OAS veterans coming in, but we're enrolling veterans yet, from Vietnam era, Korea, and on occasion we still got a World War II veteran that never accessed services, and so
Unbelievable. Yeah.
my ask of all the veteran community out there is if you know somebody who could benefit from our service, our services, please send them our way.
Yeah, and I put the call out. I don't know if Aaron sees this, but I put the call out sometimes more to the spouse, the person around the veteran, living with the veteran, to say, hey, let's take a drive over there. Let's go check in, make sure you're updated, and just see. You may need nothing, you may want nothing, but let's go see. And I think sometimes that gets the veteran over there.
Well, we certainly see that, Jack. You're right. It is maybe for some of us stubborn veterans like myself. Sometimes we need a nudge. So
Well, you know what? Until it's broken, right? With health, until it's broken, you don't think you need to be updated and made available. But I share that story. I don't know if you were on, Kevin, or you might have been down in the Massachusetts running that facility when we had it. But we had Aaron was an Air Force veteran, and he called in for our segment, and I think he served like 25 plus years, and moved back to the Lakes region. This is a compliment to you and your PAs and your physicians in the Tilton area. He had gone through the private sector trying to get a primary care doctor, and as a veteran, he didn't really think of updating himself after 25 years of service in the Air Force to get a physical, an update, because he had some issues he was noticing, and he went to the private sector appointment, and he felt rushed. The doctor was obviously stressed, like very little time with each patient, because these big systems they make the doctor rush through each appointment. And he goes, I was so kind of anxiety. He goes, I got in the car leaving, I had 4 questions, I never even got into the doctor. I just felt like I was processed like fast food. And then he made an appointment at the VA, and he got an appointment that lasted an hour, and it was either a PA or a physician doing a complete physical. And he goes, I could not have been more grateful that as a veteran, I went and had a complete physical and follow up, and I had almost an hour alone with the doctor, and that speaks well to your system. Okay. Yeah. All right, good stuff. And thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Kevin Forrest. If you haven't, and again, Aaron gave a number for general, but Kevin, if someone just wants to go and talk to someone there, make an appointment, make sure they're updated, what's the easiest way? Can they make an appointment? Can they go online? Can they just show up and wait? How does that work?
The number that Aaron had mentioned, 603-624-4366, gets us into the call center, and they can navigate for where you need to connect. But also, if you go on our homepage, right there front and center, is if you're a veteran that are seeking services, you can click on that, and it'll go to our mail group saying, for eligibility enrollment, saying, hey, I'm interested in learning more, and it'll get out there. And then, hey, we're still old school here. If you walk through our front door, we'll take care of you right on the first floor there.
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin and Aaron. Thank you. All right. I'm going to go to the top of the 10 o'clock hour on this Wednesday. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google. Worldwide. Play the Pulse of an H. Going to hear from one of our great folks out there who's doing some on-air stuff on our podcast network at the Pulse of an H. We have Contact Politics, a new edition yesterday. Brad Card, yours truly, Paul Steinhauser with Fox, talking about the early presidential stuff, believe it or not, for 2028. I know. It's like the Christmas retail season, and a whole lot more will be coming back, and hear from one of the congressional candidates in the next hour. Back in a moment.